1595 on Wednesday night, the Wolves improved to 3-0 against the Nuggets this season. The last game between these two Northwest Division foes is April 1st in Denver. Julius Randle has been a major reason for the Timberwolves' success this season. Randle has won 11 straight games while starting each. And this season, the Wolves are 33-21 with Randle and 5-8 without him. So clearly a difference maker. But Perk. There he is, back here with us. S.A., starting with you, how dangerous can Ant and this Wolves team be?
I think they can be very dangerous because any team that can defend, that has size, athleticism, and an absolute superstar in Ant-Man himself, my favorite player to watch in the league, let me tell you something right now. They can make some noise. We didn't say this weeks ago, Big Perk, because we didn't like what we were seeing. Obviously, they've been coming on strong, winning 11 straight since, with Julius Randle in the lineup, being on a 6-game winning streak. And let me say this, as a diehard Knicks fan, a native New Yorker, very, very happy with Karl Anthony Towns. That doesn't mean, Julius Randle, we don't miss you, my brother, because you're a Rough Rider. You're an Iron Man. It's rare when you miss games. You always bring the energy. You never, ever, ever cheat the game of basketball with your energy and your work ethic. And it's really, really good to see Minnesota thriving right now with Julius Randle playing a pivotal role. He deserves it, is what I'm saying. So on this stage, Perk, I just wanted to give him some love and give him some props for that. We do miss him in New York. Make no mistake about it, because he never cheated us with that effort. Having said all of that, they have him now in Minnesota. And when you look at Rudy Gobert, who returned after a 10-game absence, and what he brings from a defensive and rebounding standpoint, when you think about Ant-Man and the way they are in attack mode, let's not forget Naz Reid, forget what he brings to the table and what have you. You know, one of the things that I noticed, Perk, outside of their defense, not letting Denver score for the first 4 minutes of the game, Denver being in a hole early on, being down 14 at the end of the third quarter. You know what I really, really noticed? They were playing in the Mile High City, and it was the Denver Nuggets who was gasping for air. It wasn't Minnesota. It was Denver. Now, usually, Molly, when you're talking about that altitude, what we're talking about when going to Denver, for crying out loud. I mean, people like Big Perk, my man Juvie, and others, they struggle in Denver. I mean, the air's thin. I mean,
a lot of people are taking shots today for no reason.
I mean, that's the one place Juvie hates to go, Molly. It's the one, Big Perk, that's the one place Juvie hates to go, because, damn it, Juvie, I mean, he's like, that damn air is thin, he huffing and puffing. You know what I'm saying? I got a big bodyguard. But the point is that in Denver, it's usually the opposition.
Yeah.
Last night, it was Denver. Even Jokic playing 7. I mean, Mike Malone was desperately trying to win this game. He played Jokic for 17 straight minutes in the second half. 17 straight minutes. And that brother was huffing and puffing. But it wasn't Minnesota who was huffing and puffing. See, those are the kind of things that I'm looking at as the playoffs approach. Certain dudes are ascending. Their energy level is there. All right? Their veracity is there. That's the Minnesota Timberwolves right now, who are tied in a dead heat with the Golden State Warriors for the 6th spot. All this noise we've been making about Golden State, you really don't want to have to play the play-in before the first round of the playoffs arrive. You really want to avoid that. And now, because of Minnesota, it might be Golden State on the outside looking in to the first round of the playoffs as opposed to the Timberwolves.
Look, Molly, Stephen A., I want y'all to cherish this moment, all right? Because it don't happen often, all right? When I come on national television on First Take and say that I was wrong about something, because, 90% of the time I'm right. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I was wrong early in the season. Early in the season, I said that the Minnesota Timberwolves were on the verge of making the worst trade in NBA history. That's because of the bad body language. Anthony Edwards complaining about the system, the offensive sets, the officials and all this, right? They got off to a rough start. Okay, I was wrong. They turned the book. They got back to their identity. They got back to their culture of defending at a high level. And it starts with Anthony Edwards. See, that's the thing that I love about guys like SGA, Ant-Man, Jason Tatum. Those guys actually play both sides of the floor, right? So when I look at the Minnesota Timberwolves and how impressive that win was last night, I'm saying to myself, hell, they got a higher ceiling than the Golden State Warriors. And I know the Golden State Warriors been balling with Jimmy Butler. He's giving Steph and Draymond new life. but they don't have any signature wins. They haven't beaten the OKC or Cavs or Nuggets or Lakers Celtics. They haven't beat one of those top dogs, so I can't give them that yet. They're going to have a test on Monday on our network against the Nuggets. I want to see how that go. But I want to dive into something that Stephen A. brought up, and it was a great point. You said Jokic played how many straight minutes?
17 straight minutes last night. 17 straight in the second half.
And he looked gassed. He looked exhausted. He was tired, and rightfully so, because they lean on him more than probably any other player in the NBA, which takes me into another conversation. Mike Malone, when are you going to help him out as a coach? Have y'all ever seen those non-Jokic minutes and what that looked like? The reason, and it's like, damn, the man can't get a breather. Put a system in place, an offensive system in place that when Jokic goes out, that these guys could thrive and he could be able to rest. But I'm looking at it because Michael Malone have so many comments and he has so much to say about everything else and everybody else around the world, but he never holds himself accountable and what he doesn't do on a day-to-day basis.
Well, he's a damn good coach, and he's a champion. So let's get that out the way first. Put respect on his name. That's number one. Number two.
That don't mean you can't approve.
Stephen A., I need you to be quick here. Got to hit the top of the hour, big time.
Got it. 17 straight minutes in the second half, Perk. That was last night. There's been plenty of other times he's tried to give him a breather, and then the team would nosedive because without him, cats ain't stepping up. So you got to take that into consideration, too. Last night it happened, but that's not every night Mike Malone does that.
All right, well, we'll continue to monitor it. Right now, Minnesota's in the 7th spot, 1 game behind the Warriors in the 6th in the West. Still to come, guys, how much pressure is on Josh Allen to win a Super Bowl after locking down the MVP and a new
game? Since rebounds were first tracked in 1950, no one has ever finished a season top 3 in all of those categories. And so, Bobby, I'm starting to hear, it has felt to me forever like SGA is just an easy choice here. I'm starting to hear some rumblings about Jokic. In your mind, how would you size up this race for MVP?
Well, I think it's close, and thankfully I don't have a vote. And I would tell my voting members to wait until the end. I still give Shai Gilgeous-Alexander an edge. And I think there's no criteria, Greeny, for MVP, right? Is it most valuable player? Is it the most impactful player on their roster? I do think wins matter. And I think where Oklahoma City is right now in the standings, certainly in a comfortable lead in the Western Conference compared to where Denver was. I think you look at last night, that win in Boston, and I think you look at the loss by Denver getting blown out at home by Minnesota. I think you do have to take that into consideration. Is there voter fatigue? I don't think so, and I hope not. But I do have to give Shai just a teeny bit of an edge right now.
Yeah, with a 12-game lead in the West, it would be likely that Shai gets it. But I think it's hard to listen to Bobby say in the first portion of this that he has the deepest team and the most help. And then look at what Jokic is doing. Those stats that you point out is with an effective field goal percentage that's second all-time behind Steph Curry and the 73-win Warriors. So, that's incredibly impressive. The plus-minus numbers for Jokic are insane. They're plus 10 with him on the floor, minus 9 without him on the floor, which is the difference between this year's Cavs, which is the best team in the East, and the Pelicans, which are among the worst teams in the league. So I understand why SGA has the clear lead, but Jokic has been balling.
You use the words voter fatigue, Bobby, well, go ahead, Bobby, jump back in.
Yeah, no. I look back to, Nick, you make a great point there. Back in 2002 when I was with the Nets, we had Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd deserved to be the MVP because of the impact he had on his roster, similar to what you see with Nikola Jokic. And Jason Kidd didn't win MVP. Tim Duncan did in San Antonio, certainly had a better record than us in New Jersey here. So I do think voters look at the record impact there. Should they? I don't know. As I said, there's no criteria as far as how the voters think about doing this.
We got to give Bobby a vote because I don't like that he doesn't have.
Well, I was a voter. I was a voter, and I take the V in most valuable player very seriously. I do think MVP matters, and I try very hard when I was voting to avoid voter fatigue because I'm the first one who complains that LeBron James didn't win this award enough times and Michael Jordan didn't win this award enough times because it becomes about the narrative. Well, it's Charles's turn. It's Karl Malone's turn. Not that they weren't great players, but Michael Jordan was the best player in the league. He didn't win MVP as many times as he should. That said, a 12-game lead, Meek. I mean, he's the best player on by far the best team.
And I would say it's also a lot easier to watch an OKC game and see like the obvious MVP characteristics. Whereas when you watch Jokic's games, it reminds me a bit of watching like prestige television. I can't be on my phone or else it feels like it's boring. Right. But if I'm locked in, I'm like, oh, I remember that from there. Yeah. That was 3 episodes ago. And you end up feeling like, damn, this Jokic guy's really impressive. I know it sounds silly, but it feels that way.
Bobby jumped in for us last second here. Thanks a million, Bob. Enjoy the trip down there.